Vice Chair Huffman, council members Benton, Bradford, Gregg, Nash, Porterfield, and Weiner. So we will go ahead and get started. Yes, I acknowledge that Chair Porterfield was here early. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Okay. We do not have anyone signed up for public comment, but I do want to give anybody, if there's anybody that would like to speak publicly about any agenda item, if you didn't get a chance to, I'm happy to recognize up to 4 people. So anyone in the back, no one is running for the podium, so I will not recognize anyone. So I do have a proposed consent agenda. So for my proposed consent agenda, I have item number 2, RS 2025-1257. Item number 4, RS 2025-1260. Item number 5, RS 2025-1268. Number 6, RS 2025-1269. Number 7, RS 2025-1270. Item number 8, RS 2025-1271. And then the last 2 items, number 9, RS 2025-1272, and number 10-1275. Does anybody have any of those items that they'd like to remove from consent? Let me back up. Yes, ma'am, I sure did. Item number 7, I did say on consent, RS 2025-1270. Anybody have any of those things they'd like to remove? Everyone's just saving their energy for this evening. So we'll go ahead and read those, and then I'll check and see if anybody else has anything they'd like to pull off. So first item on the proposed consent agenda is RS 2025-1257, a resolution accepting a grant from the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services to the Metropolitan Government acting by and through the state trial courts to provide Tennessee certified recovery court treatment services to nonviolent offenders as an alternative to incarceration. Sponsors Porterfield, Evans, Ewing, and others. Item number 4, RS 2025-1260, a resolution adopting a new pay plan for employees of the Metropolitan Board of Health effective July 1, 2025. Item number 5, RS 2025-1268, a resolution accepting the Healthy Start Initiative grant from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Board of Health to provide a variety of services in reducing infant mortality for pregnant and parenting women. Sponsors Porterfield, Evans, Ewing, and others. Item number 6, RS 2025-1269, a resolution approving Amendment 2 to a grant from the Tennessee Department of Health to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Board of Health to implement and coordinate activities and services related to sexually transmitted infection or STI prevention, testing, diagnosis, treatment, and surveillance. Sponsors Porterfield, Evans, and Welsh. Item number 7, RS 2025-1270, a resolution accepting and appropriating a donation from the estate of Martha Jo Whitfield Spurgeon in the amount of $198,086 to the Metro Animal Care and Control Donation Fund, and authorizing the Metro Animal Care and Control Division of the Metropolitan Public Health Department to expend the donated funds to further its duties, responsibilities, and mission. Sponsors Porterfield, Evans, Welsh, and others. Item number 8, RS 2025-1271, a resolution accepting a capacity building case for investment. Nashville Davidson County grant from the Community Solutions International Incorporated to the Metropolitan Government acting by and through the Office of Homeless Services to staff a veteran system lead position to ensure swift cultivation of department strategies and goals with specific focus on veterans. Sponsors Porterfield, Evans, Ewing, and others. Item number 9, RS 2025-1272, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by and through the Nashville Fire Department, or NFD, and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, or TBI, to establish an emergency medical technician, or EMT, training relationship. Sponsors Porterfield, Evans, and GAD. Item number 10, RS 2025-1275, a resolution approving Amendment 2 to a Hotspot Violent Crime Intervention Fund, or VCIF, Targeted Community Crime Reduction Project, TCCRP grant from the Tennessee Office of Criminal Justice Programs to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to provide support to local law enforcement in developing and implementing evidence-based strategies to combat violent crime. Sponsors Porterfield, Evans, and Allen. Anybody have any of those items they wish to remove? All right, do I have a motion? Been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone not voting? All right, we recommend approval on those items. So that is 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Okay. Let's go up to item number 1, RS 2025-1209, a resolution requesting the mayor's office to initiate an investigation into the operations, practices, and leadership culture of the Davidson County Department of Emergency Communications and report findings to the Metropolitan County Council. Sponsors Ellis, Bradford, and others. Do I have a motion? Okay, it's been moved. Do I have a second? Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. I will recognize the sponsor, Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for recognizing me, even though I'm not on the committee. I wanted to show up here to be able to answer any questions that this committee may have. I would just ask that you all be in support of this on behalf of the 911 workers that have reached out to us as an oversight body to look out for their best interests and making sure that we can, investigate some of the claims that they have alleged with their workplace. Because, these are folks that we call in life or death situations, and we expect them to be operating at 99% efficiency, and we want to make sure that the environment that they're working in supports that. And so I ask that you all would support me in this effort as well.
Thank you, Councilmember Ellis. Discussion. I'm seeing no discussion. Any questions? Okay, Councilmember Nash, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Have we got a couple of examples of what we're talking about?
Hang on, Councilmember Ellis. Let me recognize you.
Sorry for being out of order there. Yeah, we do have some examples. They've asked, I've shared them with the mayor's office, with the SEIU and the appropriate folks, but they ask that we not share publicly because they are in fear of being retaliated against. So I can share the information with you privately if I get them to agree with me doing so. But as I understand it, this issue has been ongoing for a number of years now, and the previous council bodies have not took the appropriate action to correct the environment that they're working in.
Thank you, Councilmember Ellis. Councilmember Nash, did you have any additional questions?
Can we have an example possibly of what we're talking about without names involved?
Sure.
Councilmember Ellis.
Say for instance, when I toured the Emergency Communications Center along with some of my colleagues on the Women's Caucus, one of the 11 individuals that I've talked with since February, since this was first brought to my attention, they were told that in the past, someone that had been there nearly 25 years had reported an issue to Central HR, to then have been told by the Director Martini that that email that they had reported anonymously had been traced back to them, and that person was fired for doing so.
Councilmember Nash.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Bradford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to add that there was an email that some of us received on Monday titled regarding Resolution RS 2025-1209 from, quote, abused workers that lays out some of the issues. I'll be happy to forward that to Ms. Darby so that she can send to the rest of the committee and make sure that everybody has it.
Thank you, Councilmember Bradford. Councilmember Weiner, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate it while I get untangled from my cable here. So my question would be, how much engagement is there or has there been with HR to this point? And I'll qualify. I never mind investigation because I think it offers an opportunity to get clarity one way or the other. And so, for me, I'd like to know how much engagement HR has already had and what type of investigation was conducted. I know that they reached out to us about this previously and gave some information. I just don't remember seeing anything that was really specific. And I just don't want us to recreate the wheel if it's already been completed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Weiner. Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you for the question. So there was a report done by Ogletree and Dinkins, which is a well-respected labor and civil rights law firm here in Tennessee. And the report that they conducted, they came back with 3 different recommendations about the work culture. And in the email that we received in February, some of those allegations were saying that the situation has only gotten worse. For example, they said that prior to, I think it was either 22 or 23, the retaliation, the acts that have been put forth rose from 18 to 30, so nearly doubled in some of the recourse that was, or some of the negative impacts of people coming forth. We then had a meeting, 2 ladies came to us anonymously after working their shifts at 911 and reported to the Women's Caucus the work environment that they had. At that meeting, the Women's Caucus chair decided to conduct a survey. There was a representative from the Office of Family Safety that was in the room at the time that these ladies was telling us what's going on, and herself was alarmed from what she heard, and she stepped up and volunteered to be that in-between person for communicating what was going on, filling out the survey, because at this point the workers don't feel like they can report anything, even anonymously, and those that stick their neck out and do, they get retaliated against because no one in Metro government is protecting them. And so since then, since that meeting that we had with the minority caucus or the Women's Caucus, I also had a call with Mr. Sexton, Kristen Wilson, and Shannon Hall. And at that May the 6th meeting that we had, when I deferred this, at that time, I did feel confident that all parties were going to be working in good faith, as SEIU had been having biweekly meetings with HR. But then top of this week, as Councilmember Bradford referred, we got an email and they have asked that we continue to move forward with this resolution. And I'm frankly at my wit's end with it. I don't know what other alarm I need to sound, but I feel that an investigation needs to take place because, like I said, if someone in my district were to call 911, I want the other person on that line to know I did everything that I could to make sure that you are, able to thrive in your work environment.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Weiner, and then I'll get Councilmember Benton.
Thank you, Chair, again. Thank you for that. Super helpful. Some of that speaks to supporting your employees, all of them, whether complainant or subject of the complaint. I think that it makes it important for us as the body that may have the opportunity to take care of whatever the issues are, is to give them direction, to give them the support that they need. And, if somebody needs to be vindicated, and if that's what comes out of it, then that's what comes out of it. But if we need coaching, and if we need remediation of policies, then that needs to come out of this. So I do support it for those reasons. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Weiner. Councilmember Benton.
Thank you, Chair. The mayor brought this up in his state of the Metro, and I remember him mentioning this, that the 911 dispatchers had answered 95% of the calls in under 15 seconds year to date, which is above the national standards and contributing to the saving of 294 lives, which indicates that something good is going on in the department for sure, exceeding the national standards, which that's a positive. So then, I really it makes me pause and think for a minute. And I'll ask this question, and maybe you can help me characterize the issue, if that's okay. Is the problem that's occurring interfering with work operations? And I know there's more than one way you can interfere with work operations, not just, obviously they're getting the job done. But is it interfering with the basic operational situation?
Councilmember Ellis.
Yes, I'm glad that you asked that question. You can't take everything, believe half of what you hear and none of what you see. That stat is only real because, as it's been alleged, those workers only have 5 minutes to take a call. So just think, you call 911, they have to work within a 3 to 5 minute window to answer all the questions they're required to and dispatch the appropriate help. If they go over that 5 minute window, and I witnessed it personally, the dispatcher had to then flag that call, send an email to his supervisor, and explain why that 911 call exceeded 5 minutes. And so, in my opinion, it does affect the operations and also the lives of residents that are on the other end as they call in to ask for help. And so, the mayor praising a metric was tantamount to praising these workers' abusers.
Councilmember Benton.
So you would characterize what you were able to get as far as when you were gathering the information, that it may be more of, they may feel pushed too hard to get their
Councilmember
numbers.
Ellis.
Possibly, but I've never ran a 911 center, so I don't know what they are required to do. But what I do know is that I was elected to look out for the residents of District 29, and in that pursuit, this is a resolution that I'm willing to support.
Okay. Councilmember Benton, did you have anything else before I transition? Okay, let me go to Councilmember Bradford, and then we'll go to Councilmember Weiner.
Thank you, Chair. So I just wanted to put on the record, I understand what it's like to work someplace and meet metrics every day, but be stressed because of a hostile work environment. I think a lot of folks at one point in their lives have been in that situation. And while you're under heavy stress, while you feel you're being taken advantage of or potentially abused by your employer, you're still getting your job done, because at the end of the day, if you don't do that, you lose your job. And we all know that having employment here in Nashville is one thing that makes living in this city a little bit more bearable. And so I think we need to have this opportunity to investigate what's going on, identify issues, and if need be, remove certain employees who are causing these issues. And I'm just going to wrap it up by just saying, these are the people we call when we are distressed and we need help. They're calling us for help. We need to answer that call.
Thank you, Councilmember Bradford. Councilmember Weiner.
Thank you again, Chair. My curiosity is, have there been formal complaints filed, which goes back to my question about HR's involvement. So I need to know, have they been formally filed? I understand that we have staff that are afraid to do that. But if we have the intermediary and have had the intermediary since the Women's Caucus meeting, has that transpired? So that would be first, because you really can't have an investigation if you don't know what you're investigating. So I think we need to be specific about what that is.
Councilmember Ellis, did you want to answer that?
From what I understand from the workers, they are afraid to come forth and file an official complaint with HR because they're afraid of getting fired. It's sort of like a crime happening in your community and you not wanting to call the police because you don't want a police car to show up in your yard. So they, like I said, they came to, frankly, they blame it on Metro Council for allowing this, their work cultural environment to only continue deteriorating since they brought their initial allegations forth.
Councilmember Weiner.
So, given that, and I want to address the chair, but this is to you. It's kind of hard back and forth. So anyway, I think that it makes sense for part of this to include specificity so that the HR doesn't come back to us and say, well, we don't know what we're investigating. And so is it possible, would the sponsor entertain deferring this so that we can amend it to include the specificity of what we want them to look for, and that will help to move this on?
Councilmember Ellis.
No, I'm not going to entertain deferring it only because I've deferred it once before, and the situation has only had like a Band-Aid put over it. Once, hopefully, the resolution passes and it is successful, I have a 120-day window for an investigation to take place. But frankly, what needs to happen and what questions need to be asked, it's above me. I'm not a labor attorney. And I feel that that's an independent investigation that needs to take place. And it's, on the mayor to be a manager of the different departments and the department heads. So I'm just asking Brian and Dave that Freddie put on his managerial hat and take care of our workers.
Thank you, Councilmember Ellis. Councilmember Weiner, did you have one more question?
I'd like to hear from the administration if they are equipped to do that, and if that is a policy that HR would then pursue an investigation without specificity. Because I want to see this happen, but I want to make sure that we have the proper setup so that we can make this happen right and not delay it any further.
Mr. Rosenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilmember, without any specific complaints existing right now, we're not sure what we'd be investigating. If there were a complaint that was HR in nature, HR would engage. If it were legal in nature, law would engage. On the other hand, at Women's Caucus, there was a path forward discussed that involved SEIU, HR, and management working together. And that is moving forward right now. They're actively assessing current state challenges and opportunities there, and that feels like the path forward on this. As it stands now, we don't know what we're supposed to. There's no complaint to investigate, and if you can't follow up with anybody, how do you learn anything?
Councilmember Weiner.
I would love to hear, and I don't want to throw a wrench in this, but I would love to hear how that process is playing out, and is the outreach from the employees such that they don't feel like they're being heard? Because I think it behooves us to be able to support them and give them the cover, if you will, that they need. At the same time, I agree with Councilmember Ellis. We've got to get this done, and we've got to show them support, but I want to make sure that we do it in the right way. And so I'm probably going to just abstain. I don't want to vote no, but I may abstain for those reasons because we need to be able to offer the specificity. And I don't think I can amend or offer an amendment to this on the floor, can I? I don't think
You'd
so.
have to suspend the rules, right?
Yeah.
Or is there Director Darby? No. There you go.
When you say on the floor, do you mean this evening?
Now and then.
It would need to be this evening. I think you could suggest an amendment right now. We would
Yeah.
try to prepare it. It would be late filed. You would have to get a suspension of the rules in order to do that. But that is all assuming that staff has the time between now and then, in light of tonight's public hearing, to get that done.
Let me stop for just a second. Chair Porterfield, did you have a point of order? You're good. Okay. Councilmember Weiner, let me go back to you, and then we'll hear from Councilmember Ellis.
I think I'll wait to hear from Councilmember Ellis.
Okay. Councilmember Ellis.
Yep. So it makes me regurgitate to hear the response from Mr. Rosenberg. perhaps I can get money out of my savings account to hire a private investigator to help these workers. I don't know what kind of red tape you all have in place to protect department heads that act in such nature, but it really disappoints me to know that if the people that we depend on to answer emergency calls are being disregarded because they can't or don't trust to give you all specifics because of what has taken place in the past.
Thank you, Councilmember Ellis. Councilmember Nash.
I hate to belabor this one. I'm going to vote for this resolution. I've talked to SEIU briefly about this. I trust that they can work through some of these particulars with Shannon Hall and with the administration. They'll figure it out. I've been a labor leader before. I've placed grievances for folks, and that's how this process works and should be working. And I hate calling it an investigation. I would have a review or something would have been, I would have been more pleased with. But that said, I'm confident that the parties that need to be involved will get involved, and we can work through this.
Thank you, Councilmember Nash. Councilmember Ellis.
Yeah, if I could just make one more plea to the viewing audience. If you have worked at the Department of Emergency Communications in the last 5 years and you are a retiree, that means you are protected from being retaliated against, as I believe. So I ask that you come forth, reach out to investigative reporters like Phil Williams, different folks that have the capacity to investigate. And I ask that you look out for the workers that have been left behind and that are still working in their roles because they have bills to pay and mouths to feed.
Thank you, Councilmember Ellis. Any other questions, Councilmember Gregg?
Thank you, Chair. I don't have a question. I want to voice my concern. It's easy in any organization to look at stats and statistics and write on those. And I know that great work is being done. However, I think often we fail and we ignore the human condition. And what I hear in this situation is people crying out. I don't think how we do it is as important as we do it. And I feel confident that the facts will rise, but we've got to do that and not delay it. And so I just want these concerns I want them to be addressed, and I want our 911 workers to know that we hear them.
Thank you, Councilmember Gregg. Councilmember Harrell, hang on just a second so I can find you. You're recognized.
I share the same concern. They had a town hall earlier this spring, and we heard a lot of grave concerns regarding what was happening. I don't know the appropriate mechanism for us to get this resolved, but I think that we should look into it because their services are vital to our city.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Harrell. Anybody else? I guess I have a question, and Mr. Rosenberg, it's for you. Since we have like this, I would say, like if this resolution passes, we have this parallel process kind of happening already that's like the train is moving. What would happen from an administrative perspective? Would you all just kind of reconvene on like what's the direction that's already in place, like with the Office of Family Safety and SEIU? Or how would you react, I guess?
Madam Chair, SEIU, HR, and management are working on this bi-weekly already. It's not an investigation. To Councilmember Nash's point, it's a process to address these issues, and concerns, any workplace concerns are being addressed. As for what what the action that this resolution is calling for is, I don't really know. I'm not clear.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, I guess on my end, I'm feeling a little conflicted, only because I do agree that action is necessary, but I think the employees that came to the Women's Caucus and expressed their concerns in that environment, and that there was action that took place in that moment. It did feel like there was a response and kind of a path forward, and I don't know that we felt it kind of play out. So it's one of those situations where I feel like voting in the affirmative is just basically, it's kind of reinforcing, like, we're going down this process, we're going to keep going, and then we'll have some kind of, outcome as a result. And so anyway, so I guess I'm a little uncertain. I may vote differently in here than I vote tonight. So just to prepare everybody, I may change my mind as we get further into the evening, and I'll recognize Councilmember Ellis.
So I wonder, since we are sort of brainstorming here and the employees don't trust us to come forth as being anonymous, is Special Counsel Darby, is there any sort of amendment that I could add that would cover a worker from being retaliated against for whatever reasons could potentially come forth, with Tennessee being an at-will employment state?
Director Darby.
I'm not sure about the status of the employees. I believe that they are probably civil service employees, and those employees are entitled to protections against retaliation currently under law.
And what about if I were able to find a retiree within the last 5 years that was not a part of the SEI union? Would they be at risk of losing their retirement benefits if they were to come forth?
I don't know under what theory they would lose their retirement benefits. I see Director Hall coming forward, and I don't know if she might have something additional to add.
Director Hall.
I want to clarify for the record, retaliation is prohibited under civil service provisions. All employees, regardless of their union status, if they are civil service, our civil service rules do not allow retaliation. If someone were to be disciplined in any manner under civil service rules, there are checks and balances in place for them to be able to appeal. And if those things are done without merit, they will be overturned by an ALJ with the state of Tennessee and the Civil Service Commission. So I want you to know there's checks and balances. Current employees, former employees, I cannot imagine any scenario where anybody would ever lose any retirement benefits or pension as a result of coming forward and telling the truth on anything. But I want to be clear, just for current employees now, any employee, regardless of their union affiliation, if they are civil service, retaliation is prohibited under civil service provisions. I want to say that super loud and clear. That's been my only concern. I think a lot of us are very concerned about people that are clearly reaching out for help. Anything that is ever filed with HR by which is within our HR purview and we can investigate, we do. Not everything is within HR purview. I had the pleasure of speaking with Councilmember Ellis a couple of weeks ago and trying to give her some of the history when there has been periodic anonymous complaints. And to the extent that they're HR in nature and there's something that we can follow up on, we do. If there's not enough detail or it's outside of HR's purview, my hands are a bit tied. But anything that has been filed with our office that's within our purview, that we have enough specificity, even to start slowly trying to reach out and get someone to talk to us, we do it. But retaliation is prohibited under civil service, regardless of union status, and no retiree or former employee could be penalized for coming forward and telling the truth on any of these things.
Councilmember Ellis.
Yeah, so I'll just reiterate what I initially said to the viewing audience. You all have heard the conversation that has played out. We have an understanding from the mayor's representative that they don't have the information that they need. to properly resolve you all's issues. So just know the 11 workers that have came to me, I've done everything that I've could in my capacity to help you all as an elected official, and this is the roadblocks that I'm running into. And so again, I ask that you reach out to other public or private investigative networks and sources to air out your grievances. And again, look out for the workers at the 911 Emergency Communication Center that are working under these conditions that they have brought forth anonymously to the full 40-member Metro Body Council.
Thank you, Councilmember Ellis. Thank you, Director Hall. Chair Porterfield, did you have your hand raised at one point and I missed you? Okay, Chair Porterfield.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to get some more information on this, and I know Councilmember Ellis expressed she does not have an interest in deferring this, but I would like to also speak with SEIU to just kind of get some understanding. Like, we're hearing one thing from the administration, we're hearing one thing from Councilmember Ellis. I would like to hear from SEIU personally. So I'm going to abstain for this vote right now at this moment. I will make a determination of what I will do on the floor, but one, I just wanted to kind of explain why I was going to be abstaining, and if I'm able to get a satisfactory response by this evening, then that will determine how I vote this evening when we vote on the issue. But I want to thank Councilwoman Ellis for working hard to make sure that the workers are being represented. I also know that SEIU works hard to make sure that the workers are represented. I also trust that the administration and Director Hall are doing everything they can to make sure that workers have a safe working environment. So just hearing this from all angles, I just want to make sure that I'm also covering my bases.
Yep.
So, again, thank you, Councilor Ellis, for bringing this, and that's why I'll be abstaining at this time.
Thank you, Chair Porterfield. Let me get Councilmember Huffman, and I'll go to Councilmember Weiner.
Thank you, Chair. Got a couple of questions for Director Hall, if she could come back up. Thank you. Just a couple of questions. First, things first, I want to know more about the process today. Let's say, hypothetically, I'm a 911 operator and I experience a level of harassment. What's my step after that? Do I go directly to HR? Do I go directly through the department? What's the typical workflow there?
So there's going to be a couple of different approaches as to where you can go. That is designed by law. Certainly, I think most people typically in this circumstance with Metro would come to central HR if they felt like there was a violation of our workplace conduct policy under civil service or non-civil service. There's a corresponding executive order or any violation of harassment under Title VII. So either one of those could go to a department HR coordinator, because there is an HR coordinator for each department. The employee has the option to come to us, central HR. They have the right to go to the Tennessee Human Rights or the EEOC. And that's by design so that the employee who feels aggrieved has multiple avenues by which they can go by recourse. Most of the time, they would come to central HR.
So you see both scenarios then, an employee that would go directly to you or to their direct, yeah, okay, all right. What about, there was a claim that was made earlier by my colleague that I want to dig into a little bit more around payment being withheld or potentially retirement being withheld. Have there been any examples of that in Metro that you're aware of?
I can't think of any scenario where anyone would have the ability to withhold payment or pensions. I'm not sure I heard that first part, but the pension part has nothing to do with the department. That's all out of our department. If somebody files for a pension, they're eligible or not, they go through the process, and we are issuing payments retroactive to the day after their last active day on payroll.
And to change somebody's retirement, that's in a system of yours that would require, I would imagine.
There is, a department could never impact one's pension. All of our pension regulations, how we calculate pensions, is all rooted in the Metro Code. So a lot of this is actually legally driven, but it's all done within our department, could not be modified. We'd be violating the law if we even modified it, but no, absolutely not. And we are consistently audited because obviously we are issuing payments through a pension system that is quite enormous, so.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Councilmember Huffman. Let me go to Councilmember Weiner, and thank you, Director Hall.
Thank you so much. Want to just add a couple of questions for
Oh,
Director Hall.
sorry, Director Hall.
Can you tell us a little bit about the process that is ongoing now, without obviously, bringing out anything that would be confidential? But is this process working? Is there, during this engagement, is there progress being made?
I thought so, think so. I will say it like that. We are not receiving the anonymous emails. So I don't know what does get sent or when it gets sent. I think those are mostly coming to council members, but they are not, no one in HR is included on those emails. There have been periodic anonymous emails in the past that sometimes did include people from HR, but there is nothing currently coming to HR. The first time that this got on my radar more recently was when I understand that current or former members of not DEC came to the Women's Caucus, outlined some concerns. So I came to a subsequent Women's Caucus. The path forward that was discussed there with the administration, Director Martini, partners at Office of Family Safety, and myself, there was interest from the Women's Caucus of really trying to get real feedback from these employees in an anonymous way so we could really start to understand the depths of what is or is not going on. And the agreed and I think generalized path that the Women's Caucus had suggested was a survey. So we had previously had a working group. SEIU is often, as union partners, working operationally with departments and certainly with DEC. So they've been doing that on their own as part of their normal union management partnership relationships. At times when we needed to kind of build more bridges and help everybody see any kind of issues going on, HR has sometimes been invited to join parts of that. So we kind of resurrected that. I know that there's been a couple of meetings with my senior staff, my employee relations manager, my assistant director, DEC leadership, and SEIU. And my understanding is that we were working towards finalizing a survey. I understand that maybe there was an update given at the last Women's Caucus. I was not there for that caucus meeting, but I was under the impression that DEC and SEIU were working together to help craft survey questions that could then be issued independently to a body of all the employees. That's then gathered and then working through that process was my understanding, but I don't know if other things have transpired. But I think that's what HR thought was happening. So there may have been different or other developments that we're not aware of.
Thank you. One more question. Is there anybody here from SEIU that can speak to this?
Come on down. Make sure to introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, Marley Albert with SEIU.
Can you
Sorry,
speak to the same question? Is there progress being made? And what are you hearing from your employees that you can share with us so that we have a sense as to whether we're leading this group into the unknown with unknown questions that need to be answered? And you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's part of the issue.
So there have been continued emails. I think some were sent actually this week to some council members may have received that. There is a lot of tension in this department. That is all true. You guys have been seeing that, some of you for multiple years. We are working since the Women's Caucus raised this and made this such a more significant concern since that time, just 2 months ago, Councilman Ellis, maybe in the last 6 to 8 weeks. There have been more intentional meetings with HR involved and with the director and with SEIU. So we have another meeting tomorrow that feels like progress, and we hope to have a survey out by the end of the month for employees that will give us a sense of where that is.
I guess my heartburn here now, and I'm going back and forth and back and forth. My heartburn here is if they won't come to us or go to HR or any of the EEOC or any of the groups that they can go to, why are they going to fill out a survey?
May I speak to that actually?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
So because that is a concern. I've talked about that at a lot inside that department. There's a lot of unease. It's an agency that has cameras everywhere, so there's a lot of concern about that. We're working with ITS, so the surveys will not go back to administration at DEC. It won't come back to us. It'll go through Metro ITS to those who are willing to fill it out online. I've had a lot of people there tell me they're not even willing to do that. So we are going to have old school paper copies that they will hand out to me. I'm going to hit their roll call throughout 24 hours over 2 weeks to make sure everyone who wants to can fill out a paper survey. I will put that in a locked box, and then Metro ITS will meet me there. We will unlock the box. They will count how many. So we have trying to do some redundant ways to collect the information both on paper and online. So we've worked that out.
Do you have 100% support from the staff that they'll actually fill it out and give y'all a direction to go?
Councilwoman Weiner, I wish we had 100% people voting anyway.
I know, me too.
I will say we have a majority. DEC is they are almost, I think last time I checked, somewhere in like the 80% density of union members there. They are a very active department. Y'all are going to hear from them later on tonight. So I think we will have a majority of people filling out the survey. I won't say 100%, to be honest.
A majority is better than none, and none is what we've got right now.
Yeah, we'll have a majority. I mean, there are a lot of emails. There's a lot of information about this department that has gone on for a long time. And there's a lot of things that were given to HR over years as well, like emails and other things. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. The only thing that I'll say is if this does pass, it will offer a request and can become part of the ongoing work that's being done. So I'm inclined to vote for it because it then will just be absorbed into what's going on. And I think it raises the level of importance. So that's where I am with it now.
Thank you, Councilmember Weiner. Councilmember Ellis.
Yeah, so I just wanted to offer up to the mayor's office, if you all could look at the internal records that you all have access to, perhaps randomly pick out a person that is only months or years away from, say maybe 2 years away from retiring and getting their pension, and tomorrow they were to get a phone call from someone that committed suicide, and when they end that call, they decide that they want to quit. Okay, and so that person will lose the 25 years of pension monies that they have worked to build.
Councilmember Ellis, I'm being told that's not how it works. And so on that part, that they won't lose their pension. So
Okay.
Director Hall, I don't know if you want to speak to any of that.
The point that I was trying to make is if that is a realistic and logical thought for you all to process, then do something.
Do you want to, Director Hall, do you want to correct any, I guess, information pension related about that example?
That they don't lose their pension, right? The vesting period is 10 years. Anybody who meets the 10 years and they don't contribute to it, we pay 100% of the pension costs for our beautiful defined benefit pension system. If they walk away, they can either, if they're eligible, take their early service pension. They could take their normal service pension if they're regular for that. They could vest it until their unreduced retirement age. And just a reminder that through the Study and Formulating Committee Benefit Board Council process, we put E911 dispatchers under the Public Safety Pension Plan. So they have a richer, sooner pension, just like police and fire. But if you quit your job and you are vested in the pension, you have 10 years, it doesn't go anywhere. And this is true of all employees, so I'm not saying anything magical unless they're in the general government pension, but still a 10-year process. It's just a little bit later years and less percentage by year. If you only work 5 years or 6 years and you leave, that doesn't go anywhere. It stays here. Now, you don't have a pension, but you can be reemployed at a later date, work full-time for a year, connect the prior service time, and actually connect those periods of time together to get to a 10-year vesting period. So you do not lose your pension. You do not lose any money. We 100% pay for that. That is true of all Metro employees who participate in the Metro benefit system, which includes the pension.
Thank you, Director Hall. Let me get Councilmember Porterfield, and then we're going to need to wrap this up because we've got other things to talk about. So Councilmember Porterfield, or Chair Porterfield.
Thank you so much, Chair. I'm going to direct the question to you, but I know we heard from Ms. Marley Albert with SEIU, but my question is the process that she has described sounds like there is a process forward. It sounds like they are working through, you know, whatever the tensions are that are happening right now. Does SEIU have an official position on
the resolution?
On the resolution, and do they think that the steps that are taken now are sufficient? Are they hopeful that we move forward? It's just a little confusing, and I would prefer if we get some more clarity.
Yeah, that's a great. No. There's no risk here, Councilmember Ellis. I think it's a valid question. And so if anyone from SEIU would like to speak to that, if Ms. Albert, if you'd like to speak to that.
I would probably like not to speak to this. I mean, I feel right now we have a working relationship with the director. We're really trying to move forward, and we're very hopeful, as I said before, that what the employees are trying to do, and they have come forward, and so we're really trying to get some resolution this time. But we don't have an official statement. It's up to you guys as a voting body what you'd like to do with it.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Ellis, you can have the last word, and then we're going to move forward with voting.
Thank you, Chair. So I love it when I am wrong. So again, back to the viewing audience, if you work at the 911 center, you have a pension that is vested 10 years. You've heard directly from Central HR what you would be able to do if the circumstances around your work doesn't get better.
Thank you, Councilmember Ellis. We'll go ahead and move for a vote. All those in favor of this resolution, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone not voting? All right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 abstentions. So six in favor, 4 abstentions, and so we recommend approval. All right. The 4 council members, Benton, Prepty, Porterfield, and myself. Okay, we're going to move forward with RS 2025-1259, a resolution adopting a new pay plan for employees of the Metropolitan Departments of Police and Fire effective July 1st, 2025. Sponsors Porterfield, Evans, and Hill. Do I have a motion? All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. I wanted to pull this off consent because I'm going to vote against this pay plan this evening, this specific one, primarily because after reviewing all of the information from the special called Civil Service Commission meeting, also the regular Civil Service Commission meeting, the budget presentation about the pay plans. I don't feel confident that this pay plan, in particular for police, is going to solve the issues that police is experiencing with recruitment. And I also have challenges kind of related to the whole pay plan process. And I know we're going to have more discussion about this in the future, but I have challenges related to the fact that, you know, we're here at the end. We hear this information very late in the entire experience. And essentially, we're here to rubber stamp the entire pay plan process. There's not really a lot of capacity and time for us to be able to do any meaningful change. And so I'm just essentially having a little protest vote on this pay plan. So anybody have any discussion on this pay plan? Councilmember Chair Porterfield.
Thank you so very much for recognizing me, Chair, as the sponsor of this resolution. I'm standing in support of the pay plan. Right now, as it stands, we do, as a body, have the opportunity to still increase our employee pay. I've stated in Budget and Finance, I'll state it here again for the record, if there is a way for me to find an additional 1%, that is what my intent is, so that we can match the recommendations of civil service. I think that it is very fair to make sure we're matching what civil service has recommended. I also want to make sure that people understand that's another $8 to $10 million for us to be able to do that. So if we're going to do that, then we're going to have to find some consensus around where we can cut another $8 to $10 million to get to that number. So for everyone who supports getting our employees more pay, I hope that you will also support whatever cuts are necessary to get us to the number that is needed to get that. I also just wanted to give both Director Darby, and I don't see anyone here from finance, but Director Darby and Director Hall the opportunity to share with us what happens if we do not pass a pay plan, because we did discuss this in budget on yesterday, and there are ramifications if for us not passing a pay plan. So, you know, just for our colleagues, like it's okay if a person or two does a protest vote, but if this pay plan does not pass, this is going to be very harmful to our Metro employees. But if we could get Director Hall to speak to what happens if the pay plan does not pass, and if we could get Director Darby to also opine on that.
Yes, I agree that everybody should be making an informed decision, and I did watch the meeting yesterday. So Director Hall, you're recognized.
Since this is more of a legal question, I'm happy to augment, but I'm not an attorney. But Director Darby is an excellent one.
There you go, Director Darby.
Thank you, Director Hall. So the charter outlines the process. There are 3 things that the council can do with the pay plan once it has been presented, and this is all per charter. The council can adopt it as it is presented to the council. The council can amend the pay plan with uniformity in such a way that it does not create any changes between in the relationship between the grades. And then the council also has the opportunity to reject it. If the council rejects it, that means everyone votes no against the pay plans and they fail. Then the pay plan returns to the Civil Service Commission for the Civil Service Commission to formulate a new pay plan. I have basically just paraphrased what the charter provides, the actions to be that the council can take. If the pay plan is rejected and is returned to the Civil Service Commission to formulate a new plan, that means that the employees will continue forward on the existing pay plan. That means the one that was adopted in 2024. And that means that that's the pay plan that will move forward until a new pay plan is presented to the council again for approval, amendment, in such a manner that is across the board and does not change the relationship between the grades, or rejection again.
Thank you, Director. Councilmember Nash.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I reminded my current FOP president that when I retired as FOP president back in the old days, I was presented with a plaque with news articles from the 6 years that I had served. And the headline in one of the articles was, FOP holds nose and accepts pay plan. And I suspect that may be the thing that has to happen this year. As you notice, it is late in the game. There's a financial obligation already tied to it that I don't know that we can tweak too much at the moment. I look forward to anything the chairman can do. So I would encourage my members, we can, and I've reminded them next year, we've got time now to think of what kind of changes we'd like to make in that pay plan. I know one. I'd like to separate the across the board from the steps, for instance, as I mentioned in our committee meeting. So, yeah, I'm going to vote for this, hold my nose, but we'll work in making it better.
Thank you, Councilmember Nash. Councilmember Weiner.
Thank you. I will not take up the committee asking a lot of questions again, but I do want to share that we don't have the time in front of us to make a change and to reject this one, as Chair already shared. To that point, I fully support, as Councilmember Nash, finding more revenue that we can swap around so that we can do what we need to do for the employees. I will also be supporting this with the understanding that I would love to see, and I'm going to also ask a question, but I know, you know.
You can't resist.
I can't resist. Well, it just popped in my head. And so let me just go ahead and get that out of the way. And this is for Director Darby. Is there, and I can't remember because I'm trying to go through the pages in my head, is there anything in the charter that stipulates the time frame in which that pay plan is presented to us so that we can maybe look at tweaking this so that we get more advance notice and we get more time to look at it in the future? I don't remember seeing it in the charter where it stipulates that specific part of the time frame.
Director.
I don't have the charter pulled up right now in front of me.
Right.
So I would have to go look at it. I don't recall there being a timeline either.
Okay, that might be a resolution in the future that we can look at, so that we do have more time to study this, but I am going to be supporting it.
Thank you, Councilmember Weiner. All right, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Just me. Oh, 2, 3. All right, 3 in opposition. Anyone not voting? Myself, Bradford, and Benton. Anyone not voting? Okay. Thank you very much. We will move forward. In your packet, there of your agenda, there are questions from our special committee meeting you should all have. That was passed out. So basically, these are the answers that came from all the different questions that were asked in our special called meeting about immigration. And so I'm happy if there's anybody that's had a chance to look at these. They've just been placed on your desk today, so you may have not had a chance to read this. But if anyone has anything that they would like to ask right now related to these questions, we have just a couple of minutes. But you also probably need some time to read and reflect. Okay. Yes, sure. Chair Porterfield.
I just want to clarify. We just got this today.
Yes.
Okay. And can we revisit this after we have time to actually read it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So we can revisit it at our next meeting. And so these are here for you today. If you have any questions, I know we've had a robust discussion on some other items. And so we don't really have the bandwidth and the time based on our committee time ending to really dig in and kind of go through each one by one, but we can carve out some time at our next meeting. Since we've got about 2 minutes left, are there any departments that have anything that they need to share with the committee? I'm seeing health shaking their head no. Okay, and I don't see any other departments, rep or fire. Do you guys have anything you need to share? Okay. All right then, unless anybody has anything else, then we'll go ahead and consider ourselves adjourned.